Hey. It's your girl, Shauna Solomon, owner and founder of Shauna Solomon and Associates, as well as the Shauna Solomon Collection. Welcome to Life of a CEO. I am so excited today because I have my boo thing on here, Kecia Chantel. And today we are going to be talking about Know Your Niche. Make sure if you have not already that you have subscribed to the channel. We will be posting some other information throughout this interview about Kecia, about Shauna Solomon Associates at the bottom. So again, and we also want you to make sure that you are asking questions. That's what she is here for. But we're going to go ahead and get started. So hey, Keish.
Hi, Shauna.
How are you, love bug?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm not going to look. Not going to cry.
I know. I'm so formal. I'm usually like, hey, twin, but we're going to pull it together.
We're going to be a little bit, just a little bit. So, okay, we're just going to jump right in. Okay. Introduce yourself, because I always toot your horn, but I want you to toot your own horn. Introduce yourself. Talk about Zuri Beads.
All right. Well, I'm Kecia Chantel. I am the CEO and visionary behind Zuri Beads, which is a jewelry business that specializes in the creation and customization of beaded bracelets and bangles for men, women, and children. My bracelets I've shipped them to about 26 different states. It's something that I really enjoy doing. It started out as a hobby for me. I started making bracelets for myself, gifting friends and family with them. And sometimes I'm truly grateful and humbled now that complete strangers are enjoying my creations. So
yes, I love it. So today I decided to put on, I think I just mixed out a few of them that I just grabbed because I got on black and gold. So the one that sticks out to the most is I don't need an invite to the table. She says her own table, right? And then
that was during your grand opening.
Yep.
Which your anniversary just passed a few days ago, and I meant to text you about that.
And there's been so much going on, so I kind of just blew past. Well, I'm getting ready to make some major announcement anyway, so we'll get there with that when we deal it, right? But then there was another one that says, I am important. Read it, internalize it, and repeat it. And that meant a lot to me today. So I said, let me put these on. And I didn't realize, I got a lot of Zuri beads back there. And I just be intermingling. I'm like, they're not even sets at this point. I just put them together as need be. But I do want to ask you, what is your motivation, not just with Zuri Beads, but just in entrepreneurship in itself?
The freedom. I would say the freedom that comes with entrepreneurship is truly my motivation. So a lot of people don't realize that I have a corporate job. It's a very good career. It's a very stable career. And it's afforded me, a lot of opportunities, but the freedom, baby, that comes with entrepreneurship and just being able to steer the own course of my destiny is what truly motivates me. On top of having two small kids. But I love the freedom that comes with entrepreneurship.
I love it. And guys, those who are watching, if you have any questions, please make sure that you ask those questions in the chat box, and we'll make sure to come back to them. So we're going to jump right into this with knowing your niche. I wanted to make sure that the person I had on for this topic was somebody who knows their clientele like ain't no other. We're going to talk about the cousins.
The cousins,
right? So talk about why it's so important to know who your audience is and to have some type of niche.
It's extremely important to know your audience just for the simple fact that nobody wants to feel like a used car salesman, And so when you know your audience, it's organic and it just flows, because that, it doesn't matter what you're selling, if to a certain extent, if it's your market, they're going to catch on to it. Right. Sometimes we see a lot of entrepreneurs who, from the outside looking in, we can tell when they're scrambling because they're jumping from one thing to the next. And, there's nothing wrong with that. But, from the outside looking in, we can tell when those people are really just trying to find their market. For me, I know my lane, I stay in it, and I can floor 90 miles per hour in that lane on cruise control. just because I
Absolutely.
managed to find that niche thanks to you. So
Absolutely. So you mentioned that we can see it from the outside looking in. I want to say that usually people who know who their audience is, when we're looking at other businesses, it's easier to be like, oh, they need help with this, because like you said, sometimes you can tell when people are just throwing stuff at a wall to see if it's going to stick instead of knowing who their audience is. What are some of the things that knowing your audience, like why it's so important? Like, so like when I think about knowing your audience, I always talk about marketing, right? Because that's the standpoint that I come from. But how does it make it easier for you knowing your people, like knowing the cousins? Because we cousins.
shout out to the cousins. Not only does it make it easier, but it makes it fun. So, like for me, the easiest way that I can break it down is that when you know your market, this is how I knew when I wasn't selling to my market, is when it wasn't fun, when it was tedious, and even when I was pitching to those people, they just didn't get it or just didn't click.
Right,
It should never feel like a task or tedious
right.
when you're pitching to somebody that's in your market. So that's one thing that came with trial and error for me. I've been in business
Absolutely.
for almost 8 years. So, I did a lot of vending engagements and pop-up shops and things of that sort. And that really helped me to kind of narrow down my market on top of course, having you drill. What does your person look like? What does your person look like? What does your person look like? What does your person
Right.
look like? And then now I'm in a space where my market is just growing outwards because my foundational cousins or customers, they pull in their friends who are also, they
That they
fall under the
know.
same
Yep.
market.
Yep.
So it makes it fun because I don't
Hmm.
have to now in this space. Hi, I'm Kecia Chantel, and this beat is this. I don't have to do that because I found my market, which I'm truly grateful for. So
Yeah. So now we positioning. We're no longer pitching. We are positioning, which is something that we brought up at the Black Woman meetup, because you know how I feel about pitches. I'm all for positioning statements. You brought up vending. How does knowing your niche or having a niche and knowing your audience affect your vending?
it has made me be more intentional. So before, whenever I seen certain engagements, any engagement that I saw, I was going to this place, that place. I don't care if it was at a park, if it was at a museum, if it was at a church. I just was scrambling and going to any and every engagement opportunity that came my way. Now I'm very intentional. So I'm choosing to vend. I only vend twice a year, give or take now, but I choose events where I know my people are going to be. And now, since I have been able to leverage that following and that influence, if I post where I'm going to be and it's open to the public, my market will follow and come shop with me, which I'm really grateful for. So
Absolutely. So let's talk about, you said that like the people that they bring others in,
mhm,
and that's important because when you bring other people in, they know, right, your price point, right? So they know
mhm,
that they're going to bring people in that they know are okay with your price point and your purchasing, like all of that stuff. And I think that's something that as small business owners, we tend to skip over doing that market analysis, doing all of that research on your audience, when ultimately, like you said, it makes it easier. It goes back to what you said about freedom, but thinking about again, like having selling at a small, I'm gonna say a small event where it might be like where somebody's only looking to spend $20, that's not your audience, right? Because your beads start at what, 45, 50.
60 to 80.
Yeah, and they didn't
Mhm.
went, they didn't went up. But I love it.
Right.
But yeah, so but knowing that those people are ready to come and spend that. So again, like you said, it makes it easier because you don't have to sell yourself when you know who your audience is. And so many people miss and it's not just they miss that mark, and it's not just about demographics. Like you really know when they're going to buy, right? Which is the
Mhm.
psyche in it
Yeah.
that people ain't getting. How many drops do you do? So like, let me back up. You know how people say you only supposed to sell to people in certain days?
No, no, no. No.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Talk about these drops.
Okay, so just to backtrack, and just to kind of give people a little bit more background of my business and my marketing strategy, I've been grateful to have your mentorship for the past 4, 5 years, give or take. And in 2019, you spoke to a group of ladies, a group of young entrepreneurs, and you told us about the power of having your own like personal shopping group.
Right.
And why that group was really important is because you don't want to constantly flood your regular timeline with buy, 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 buy. But if I have my group, I can do what I want, when I want, how I want in that group, right? And so whenever you told us to do that, I did it. And I just played around in a group. I invited like my top 30 customers in there. And then gradually I just kind of built my base up from there. We didn't have the foresight. This was in November 2019 when you told this group of entrepreneurs to do this.
Okay.
We didn't have the foresight in November 19 what was to come. In February, March of 2020, the world shut down.
Well, yeah.
So there was no outside engagement. All we had were, our phones, our iPads, prayers. And luckily for me, I had a group that was kind of blossoming just a few months prior. And
Right.
so my group, we kind of created like a small community, and I call it like a family. So instead of calling people my customers, they're called cousins. Because regardless of how tight or not tight you and your cousins are in life and family, especially in the African American community, we don't play about our cousins,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Even if somebody snags a bracelet that you really wanted, you might get an attitude and go, "Mm," but at the end of the day, you're gonna say, "That's my cousin, so I'm happy for you."
Right. Yep.
Um,
Tammy get
and
it.
so,
Cousin Tammy get all the green ones.
right, yeah, yeah. I can
Yep.
name. I know my people, so there are certain people who have certain colors. But yeah, the cousins, shout out to them. So that's just kind of like my group. And then you just asked me about like how I do the launches and stuff like that.
Right. Like so, because
Okay,
like we
so
talked about the pricing and how people say that it's not like you should only post on certain days. And I'll
oh
say
no no no.
this, you have to have a strategy in place. And the whole reason why I wanted to bring Kecia on to talk about this time, because she's proof that you can have your client, like if you know your clients, you can make money any day and throughout the weeks. Like and
Yeah.
it's up to you having a custom strategy based on your goals, your amazing product. You have to have a good product and being able to put it out there, in a great
Yeah.
fashion. Whereas a lot of people don't even take the time to do a strategy. But I'm sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
no. So for me, there is definitely a method to my madness. So I'm not going to lie. In 2020 and 2021, where the world was kind of shut down, I was at home, so I had nothing but time to just bead. And what I would do is, if I would have like 10 sets, I would say, okay, I'm gonna get to 20, or I'm gonna get to 30. So it's usually like I'll usually launch in sets of 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 is what I kind of did before. And it just, no matter what time I launched, people would shop with me. And the one time I had 30 sets, 33 stack sets, and it sold out in 7 minutes. Like people would just flood my website.
Mm-hmm.
And so now, because we're always big on scaling up and automation and delegation,
Absolutely.
as of November 2022, so 3 years after I started the group, now I have a subscription program. And so with the subscription program is people sign up on the 5th of every month, the money comes out of their account, and I have an exclusive elite set of the month that comes out. So that has kind of changed the course of the group. So
Right.
now what I do is with the subscription program, I post the set of the month, and anybody who's already in the subscription program, they don't have to worry about tussling or fighting, even though there's cousins that actually
They
enjoy
still
snogging
fight.
each other.
They still be in
Yeah.
there fighting.
Yeah. And so between the 1st and the 10th or 15th of every month, I ship out the subscription sets from there. And then after that, I do launches pretty much weekly of other styles that people like. So I'm really excited about the subscription program. Currently, there's about 45 people in there that gets like a 4 stack. Really, it has more charms, really nice centrical pieces, And once again, they can just sit there on a nice, Thursday afternoon, and boom, a package is to
It's
them, and they don't
coming,
have to
and they know
worry
it's
about
coming.
hopping on.
Right.
But also, I have text alerts now. And so, with that, whenever I do launch, instead of having to always be on social media, it comes straight to your phone.
Right. So here's the thing when it comes and she's talking about this stuff because again, she knows her audience. So she knows that one, there's going to be certain people who didn't want to tussle, right? But I think a lot of the cousins, they have a good, I think they just,
Listen,
they kind of like love that.
put my cousins up against anybody else. My family could fight.
Listen, they
We the
come
dad side.
in regardless, but there are some people who they might miss it. They might miss a launch. And again, and that the whole thing with the launches is the fact that she doesn't launch like just on a weekend or like on a payday. Like she launches throughout the week because she know like, and her people, they're ready. So your people will have no problem with spending if you know their spending habits, if you know what it is that's going to make them tick, right? A lot of people don't take the time to get to know their audience that well, and she has perfected this because then you get into the text alerts, which a lot of people say, oh, why? I just Shauna, tell me about text alerts. Your people got to want to get text alerts or it ain't gonna work. You're going to get people that are going to unsubscribe. You're going to get, and they're going to feel more irritated. So this is why it's so freaking important to know who your audience is. And I have to tell you guys about, if you go over to my website, Shauna Solomon and Associates, there are some free resources out over there. One of them is a target audience worksheet. Go and grab it, work through it, and get to know your people. Like if you get to know your people, and again, it takes time. She told you how long it took her to get started, but it takes time to get to get everything to the point where it runs as smoothly as she does. But she's literally giving you a mini blueprint of how she did it, right? So my next question is, how do you feel when people say that they don't have to, like you ever see, I was on TikTok and this girl was like, I'm on the side of TikTok that where we don't niche down, we don't have to know our audience is. And I'd be like, okay, but then sis was literally a week later on there doing a GoFundMe. And I'm like, I come from a growth aspect, so I'm like, sis, you wouldn't have to do a GoFundMe if you know who your clients are. So how do you feel about when people just be like, I'm winging it? And not to say that anything's wrong with that, because we've all been there, right?
Yeah.
But
so the true Capricorn in me, I go, oh, okay, that's what's up. That's what's up.
Right.
Because it's like, even surface wise, because I did this in the very beginning. I would say, well, everybody's my market, or my market ranges between the ages of, 15 and 75. And while Zuri Beads is truly intergenerational, and the little babies are excited for them, just like how my 71-year-old grandmother is, who's spending the money? Who is buying the beads for, they're gifting them with the elders of their family, or gifting them for the babies in their family.
Absolutely.
That's a very more fine-tuned market.
Right.
And those are the people that I am not just focusing on, but that I'm most
Right. And here's
in.
the thing though, too, just because I think people get confused when it comes to niching down. People think you niche down that you're eliminating other people. Absolutely not. When I first got started in this, I was doing retail businesses. That's who I pushed my boutique business classes, all of that. Last year, 85% of my clientele was coaches and speakers.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because they seen the success that I was able to give. So it's not saying, yes, this is who your audience is and who you're targeting, but that does not mean that other people you're not going to attract other people, which gets into something completely different when we start talking about your brand positioning and how you're attracting who you want to sell to. That's a whole nother, like I said, it's a whole nother conversation, but you have to know who it is that you're attracting before you can even try to do that, right?
So for example, like for me, my customers, I'm 34 years old. My customers, for the most part, they're my peers, but my customer base are usually women between the ages of 40 and 60. They're professional women, they're bosses, they're fashionable. They either are empty nesters or they have adult children. A lot of them are married, or they, in their space of being single, they have awesome tribes of girlfriends, who they like to go to events, they like to dress up, they like to match and, go to themed type of stuff.
Absolutely.
And a lot of them have that freedom to shop because they don't really got any small kids. A lot of them
right.
homeowners that they, either paid their houses off or they have cheap, like it's that
Deep.
specific.
Right.
And those women who, these cousins that are just such badasses, they shop for their nieces, their nephews, their husbands, their moms, but that core people still shops for the bigger
Everybody else.
branch of my
Right.
base. But I've
Right.
been able to narrow it down that much. But that's something that, you've always drilled into my head.
You
Okay, who makes the financial decisions? When are people, luckily, like I said, a lot of the women that are my customer base have that financial freedom, that whether I launch at 8 a.m. on a Sunday or at 10 p.m., on a Wednesday night, that if they want it, they're going to get it. So, shout
And
out
I
to the
love
cousins for
it.
that.
Oh my goodness. And that's what I'm saying. Like, you have people do not understand how important it is to know the psyche, I call it the psyche that goes behind your audience. Like, and even as detailed as she just went, there's still more
There's still more.
there's still more that she knows about her cousins, that gets them to where they're literally sitting there waiting for her to launch. And like she said, like, again, I can't sit here and say if somebody comes to SSA and they want a social media strategy, I can't just say, oh, I need you to post out this time, and this time. We actually, it takes us a month just to put a strategy together, and then we test it, and then we come back and redo it again, just to make sure that it is going to fit what it is, especially when it comes, because everybody has different goals. They have a different audience, they have different products. You have to really test things out. And I think a lot of times, and we're going to talk about this, how do you, with entrepreneurs, just try one thing and give up?
Yeah, like no, entrepreneurship is not for the weak. It's not for the weak, and you have to trial it. Like, even just to backtrack, like there will be times where I'm laying down in the bed, I'm like, I'm gonna see if I launch at this time. You know what I mean? How it's going to look. You know, and for me, I found out that some of my people work overnight, and they're sleep during the day, or some people after they get their kids settled or they have their glass of wine and are watching the show at 9 p.m. So I I launch at different times of the day because everybody's not readily available, and it kind of like allows more people to shop with me. Think
Mm-hmm.
about it. If I only launched at 8 p.m. every single day, only the people who were available at 8 p.m. would constantly snag the sets.
Yep.
Whereas if I'm doing an early morning, midday, late night, now I'm able to pull more people from my market because I'm allowing other people to shop, you
Yes,
know.
I love
Um,
it.
yeah, and then it's just like it's a trial and error. Like, even when you don't think people are looking at you, they are watching you and they're seeing how you move. They're seeing how you interact. They're seeing your consistency. So say if you had like a really cool run and you're selling stuff and then you just get quiet for 6 months and then you come back, sometimes that might confuse people. Whereas like it's really like slow and steady wins, right? You know what I mean? Whereas it's slow and steady wins the race. There's other things that I definitely can do, and things that I'm branching off into, especially with like my personal brand and stuff like that. But if it's not broke,
Don't fix,
don't.
don't fix it.
Right.
So let's talk. You mentioned the breaks. A lot of entrepreneurs will take a break and then expect to come back, right? And everybody doesn't have that, right? Like, I could take a break for a couple weeks and come back and just pick right back up where I started. But people are legit taking like 3-4 months break and coming back, and they're like, oh, well, I'm not making no money. Says, ain't nobody heard from you for 3 months. We
Right.
need
I
you.
mean, and then the thing is, sometimes even if it's not just out of a frustration, it could be out of a burnout thing. Like,
Right.
but it comes with proper preparation and knowing the importance. And this is kind of my weak point, but knowing the importance of content. So, for instance, when I went to Dubai for 2 weeks, I'm out of office. I will be gone for 2 weeks. This community is important because of everybody and not just me in this group. So, you guys are wearing beads every day. If you can post, your sets of the day or what you're rocking or anything in the group to keep that engagement up, that would be greatly appreciated. Let me tell you, my group was popping and I didn't sell for 2 or 3 weeks, but people were really in there posting cute sets and different ideas. And that was the most engagement in my group from outside cousins that I've had in years.
Right.
So,
So, and that's
being consistent, but if you're going to take a break for whatever reason, that's where you have to prepare on the front end for content, or at least say something so people will kind of know what to expect. I know emergencies happen, but outside of that, you just have to do a little bit more on the front end and know that whenever you come back, your people will still be there.
absolutely. And guys, if you have any questions, please make sure that you put them in the comment box so that we can answer them while we are live. But to talk about consistency, if you can't be consistent, one of the easiest things that I tell all of my clients, and I actually talk about it all the time, is to schedule your content, right? The easiest things that you could do, hey, Robin, the
Hi,
easiest thing
Robin.
you could do is schedule your content because life is going to happen, right? So like, and I get this often. Well, I remember somebody coming up to me and it was like, hey, I just ordered something that you just sent out. And I'm like, first of all, I didn't send anything out to myself, right? But the fact that it goes back to that freedom that you started off with this is freedom for me. So being able to have the group schedule content or have them doing things throughout the, while you're gone, it keeps that engagement going, it keeps your sales coming in, and it allows you to stay in your freedom. You were all the way in Dubai and people are ready, are still spending, and you're gone. That's where I think that a lot of people kind of miss the mark. Marcia Turner says, so proud of you, Kecia.
Thank you, more.
But I think a lot of people need to understand, like there are different aspects of business, right? However, you have to kind of make sure they all intertwine together so it works like a well-oiled machine. If you know your audience, that's almost like the gas that you need in order to do anything else. That's how I feel about it. You cannot price. Like, people are legit starting businesses with they've already named their business, they've already priced their product, they've already done all these different things and don't know who their audience is. Right?
Yeah.
How do you feel about when you see, so like, say if you see somebody or a business and like the name doesn't match, like, or like something is off, does that stop you from even support? Like how do you look, or what advice would you give them to help them with that?
When I see it, I'm kind of in a space of reach as you climb. So sometimes I might reach out and give some valuable unsolicited advice, like, you kind of sandwich it like,
I had to
man, this
stop
is
doing
dope.
unsolicited
However, yeah.
that
But I
backfires,
kind of like, I gauge and I tread lightly, but if you sandwich it, good, you need to do this, but this is good, type of thing. I found that people are, like more
receptive
to it. However, like, I know the ebbs and flows of my business and trying to figure out that space. Sometimes people kind of have to have those experiences, or kind of reach out to someone who really is committed to and who knows business to get that help whenever you hit a wall.
Absolutely. And everybody
Sometimes
needs
you just got to kind of, you got to experience it to know. Like, for me, what kind of helped with my scaling is I realized that I was getting tired. Like, I'm burning myself out and I'm putting too much of myself into my business. And I did this for the freedom first and foremost. And so once I hit that exhaustion wall, then that's when I started to pivot and say, okay, I still want to do this, but how can I do this more efficient and effective?
And
Help, Shauna.
help Shauna. But here's the thing, and one of the things I tell anybody has ever done any of my VIP days, anybody has come on as a client, my goal is for you to work smarter, not harder. So again, like, she came in talking about freedom. So sitting with Kecia and knowing, like, and here's the crazy part: when I first sat with you, your goals were different. It was money driven.
You sat with me. I was 1 for 10, 2 for 25 or something.
Yes, but
but the money will come.
Position though, right?
It's not about the money for me. It's about the freedom.
Right.
and the money, the success, the accolades come. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Before it was that, but you can feel it though. You
Yep,
can feel when somebody is doing something that they really enjoy versus this person got to pay this bill and I'm out here to get the money. It,
that's
you know,
it.
you can actually, it seeps through the pores of a business.
Absolutely,
Um,
absolutely. I'm gonna go
yeah.
to some of these comments. Robin said my two faves. Thanks, Lovey.
Hey, cousin cutie.
Ashley said, "Dope sisters, keep doing y'all things." Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Ashley.
Monique, great info. Go Keish, so proud. Hey Mo.
Thank you, Mo.
Hey Lashisha, she said yes, FB, and she did this so hard.
My
And
shishi.
the balance exhibition said hello, hello, beautiful.
Hi, Lex.
So again, if you have any questions about target audience or anything like that, please make sure that you comment. Yeah, she said I got my notebook out because there's this. This is another opportunity that I feel like that people don't log on to stuff like this, and this is when people need to be jumping in and asking as many questions as they can, because
For
then they
sure.
get upset when it's like, because I know my people and they be like, whoa, 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 you giving away too many gems. That needs to be a console. Hey, so you want to make sure that when it comes to educating and growing your business, that you want to make sure that you are jumping in on anything that's going to help your business grow.
And the
Um,
biggest thing is like what I like to do, like quarterly or at least at the end of the year, is like a start, stop, and repeat. You know, what's working for me, what's not working for me, what do I need to keep doing,
yeah,
because you will constantly shift and pivot both personally and professionally.
yeah,
So what works, in 2019 isn't going to work for 2023. So you have to take the time to not just work like in your business, you have to work on it too, constantly. Things change,
absolutely.
life happens, and so you need to kind of be able to have that time to don't be so busy just doing your day-to-day things that you're not really working, so that you can scale or do what works for you in order to get that word of the day, that freedom.
That freedom, right? But so
Yeah.
let's real quick. So I know we're already past the half hour mark, which I knew was going to happen
Oh,
with that.
that's it.
Hear me, I don't care. But so let's talk about like products, because you mentioned like how you stop to see what's working. When it comes to your audience, right? Coming to when you know who your audience is, does it make sense to sell a whole bunch of products? No, right? Especially if they ain't making you no money. My thing is, if you know your audience, if it's like you said earlier, if it's not broke, don't fix it. You can have, if you have 50 products and only 5 of them are selling, and these are your top things, why are you wasting money on the rest of that stuff? Sell those 5, because this is what your audience is buying, and people do not take the time to learn. Like, and again, like when I mentioned, as far as like there's different parts of entrepreneur or in your business, you're going to have things where you're going to have to reevaluate, and like you said, start, stop, and repeat. You have to go and see what is working and what is not. And I see that so often. I'm like, or I'll see somebody posting like 50. I think I seen this one girl, I had to unfollow her. She posted like 10 different items, and I was just now learning about the first one. And then she
Yeah.
was pushing something else out, so it's like she lost me as a customer because I have sensitive skin. I want you to educate me on that. And again, knowing you have, this is another reason why you have to know who your clientele is. You got to know what are they visual? Are they, like, what type of learners are they, so that you can produce that type of content.
And
Um,
most importantly, you have to know your capacity. So, for instance, I don't want to be a Jew of all trades, master of none, right? I can make necklaces. I can make bracelets for men. I can make bangles. I can make bracelets for children. But I'm one person. So until I get my manufacturer, until I get my staff people and scale up, if I went trying to offer all of these different styles of beads because I'm catching these markets that really my niche market is really shopping in, I would be spent.
right,
So you have to know your capacity too. I got a short attention span. So I'm like, wait, I forgot to tell them I have this, or I forget, so it works two sides. I mean,
right,
I mean, on both sides, you have to know your market, but also know your capacity.
right,
And
right,
so
right,
that's why I don't sell certain things. I only do it seasonally, or I might just do an exclusive, mini launch of men's or children's, just
right.
because I'm one person. And until I scale up, which I'm manifesting, and that's going to come very, very soon, then I'll be able to offer more beaded products. But knowing your capacity too is important.
And the capacity goes back to the freedom, right? So if you set certain things up, and again, making it easier for you, a lot of people make their business a lot harder than what it needs to be, instead of just stopping. Hey, Charlize. Instead of just stopping and kind of like start, like you said, stopping and seeing what's working, and then okay, and it's sometimes I think it's like an ego thing. It's okay to, because that's not failing, that's trial and error. And again, like you can try something on your clients, but if you know them, you know what's going to work and what's not going to work, which again goes back to why it's so important to know who your people is and to have a niche. I'm going to go through some of these comments as well. Marcia said, I do that as well, paying attention to what's working and what you need to move on from. Absolutely. Balanced esthetician says, my biggest struggle right now is working in, for, and in my business. One of the things that I would tell you to do is to delegate, figure out what I always talk about strengths and weaknesses. Definitely work your strengths initially, like anything that I do not like doing, any my weaknesses, I delegate all of that. Tiffany Hurt says, love that. Start, stop, and repeat. Yes, that needs to be her hashtag, right? Marcia
And
said,
really, that is a ideology that comes from like corporate America, and a lot of them, real big HR people higher up, or things that they implement from a top down type of infrastructure. So
yes,
I wish I could,
But here's
that,
the thing, but that's a strength, right? So when you're thinking about when you go into business, and like people go into business out of need, and most of us, most Black women, when it comes to starting businesses, there's something that made them want to be an entrepreneur, right? For me, it was I had got laid off, blah, blah, whatever, and it just turned into this full-fledged boutique. But we skip a lot of that, but a lot of things a lot of the strengths that I brought from corporate America, I didn't start utilizing until like 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but those are my strengths. So let's take those strengths and bring those over to your business and work them that way. A lot of us are like, oh, well, this is just entrepreneurship. I don't know anything about it. Sis, you that Black girl magic. You absolutely do have some stuff that you can bring to the table, but you have to know what your capacity is. You have to know what it is that you can delegate and what it is that you can keep. And a lot of people don't do that. Let me go back to these comments. Oh, she went off. I don't think she did that on purpose. Let's give her a couple minutes to come back. In the meantime, if you have any questions for me, just let me know. Put those in a comment. Start, step, and repeat is a good idea. I definitely have to focus more to understand my market. I have a free target audience worksheet that's over on my website. And it's Shauna Solomon and Associates.com. Here she go. It's Shauna Solomon and
Associates. My fat fingers.
That's okay. And if you hit the resources, there is a free resource, and then there are paid resources. There is a free resource target audience worksheet over there that you can go through that'll help you work through and answer some of those questions that you'll need to know who your audience is. One of my next question to Kecia is, where do you see Zuri Beads in the next year?
In the next year, I want to really dive into my subscription program. It's so fun, and to even think about like how Amazon and Netflix and like we're in a very heavy subscription era. And so to think that that's where I'm trending towards, even from a smaller scale on up, is exciting. I think that this program will be the perfect segue into making me more nationally known.
I'm here. I'm here for it. I'm ready for that. So
I'm excited for it. Like sometimes I blow myself away with how many different designs and schemes that I'm able to come up with. But that's just because there's just a lot going on in this big head of mine.
Yeah.
But to be able to live a more softer life and a more free life, and to make one breathtaking design that potentially hundreds or thousands of people can wear, that sounds like a win to me. So I'm really excited.
I love when they be at vending events. I be so mad that I don't be there shaking with them. I be like,
Shaking. It's the cousin
yeah,
shirt.
that's
And
national
that's the thing,
love.
like now it's like so cool. My word of the year was influence. And so I'm a very conversational person with my people and with other people. But I'm an extroverted introvert, and I'm one person with two small children. So my word this year was influence because I want to be in rooms even if I'm not in the room. So
And
when
you,
I get videos and people are like, to think that when people are getting dressed and they're like, I know a lot of people are going to have beads on at this event, so I need to have my beads too because I don't want to feel left out, kind of thing. And then when I receive videos and pictures of whole droves of people wearing them, that makes my heart smile.
yes.
Um, so
We
yeah,
want to bring them. We have to. So we're going to claim national, right?
we want to
Because
claim it.
you have perfected everything else. So now it's time to go national. The balance esthetician says as soon as I can afford y'all, I'm in there watching how well for your business flourish. Thank you. So this is what people
Thank
do not
you.
know that Kecia is the startup strategist at Shauna Solomon and Associates. So you can actually sign up to work with her over on the website that I put down below as well. Just make sure that you click Kecia so that it goes to her calendar. And we have different services. So if you're not sure what it is that you need, you could sign up for our clarity call, and then she would tell you exactly what she can help you with. She says, makes me hopeful. I'm so glad that we have been able to assist. Boo Oliver says, big win, freedom. Absolutely. I literally map outfits around my bees. Now that
I love my friends.
is a
They're making
testimony.
me blush.
That's unique. I love it. I love it. And that's what's so, I think that's what makes it so, like, especially when people are watching on the outside looking in, like, you know who your audience is, but one of the things that you said that your audience that they do is that they are fashionable,
Fly.
right? That they know. So like when
Fly.
Monique saying what she said, it's like that's confirming that why it's so freaking important. And like I said, I cannot say it enough. I sit on Facebook sometimes and I'm scrolling and I'm like, oh, this person needs me. They just need this free resource to learn who their audience is, and they can make millions. But again, you people have to want it. Real quick, because I'm gonna just go ahead and get as close to 12 o'clock as I possibly can. Let's talk about mindset. Have you always been in the mindset and where you are right now? I know this doesn't have to do with target audience, but I need people to see, like, people always see the success, but they don't see what leads up to that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about your mindset. But before we do that, somebody said, what's your fave design to date and would you ever sell, Zuri? Good question.
My favorite design to date, that's a hard one. But I really like my matte black on black design. I initially rolled that out, I want to say in August of 2020. And then that was like a December subscription program design. And it's my favorite design to date because you can really wear those beads every day.
Somebody
Um,
put gotta be the clear sets.
yeah, so just real quick, little Zori education. So when I tell people, because it gets to be kind of addicting, but I tell people if you have a black set, if you have a clear set, and you have a neutral set, that's your foundation. If you have those three styles, you can literally wear those with everything. And then I tell people from there, you build upward. So then you can start to get your greens, your purples, your red. But if you have the black, the clear, or the neutral, you can wear those literally with everything, dressed down or dressed up. When I was on vacation, I had 4 outfit changes, which is impressive for me because I'm mildly narcoleptic and I need my naps. But I had my bathing suit, I had an evening dress, I had a two-piece romper, and then like a club outfit, and I wore my clear beads that whole day, and I felt beautiful. And I just wore the clear set. So the clear is kind of a second fave. But anything neutral, because I'm more of a neutral kind of girl, but definitely black. And then, I would say clear is a runner up. And as far as selling Zuri beads, so like I would have to do definitely like more studying and educating before I would even think about that. But I've seen where people have sold their business, but they still have some type of holding in that. But I would need like heavy guidance, counseling, prayer, and good lawyers before I thought of that, because I think that like for me it's not about the money. The money has come and I do well. But I would have to really like pray on that
See,
and
and I
educate
think that
myself on
I
that,
think
because
that
I
was,
know I'm sitting on something big. I know it
yeah.
and I can feel it,
So
So
I think that that's a good, and that's again, that's something that we don't talk about as far as like Black business is selling. Like what a lot of people don't know is like I went into with Exotic Hush. Like my plan was to sell Exotic Hush, and we actually had an amazing offer, got a deposit and everything, and it didn't fall through on the other end. But those are the types of things that create generational wealth. But when it comes to what the foundation that she has already laid, she could literally sell Zuri beads and then start something else with the same framework
yeah,
because of how because of how everything is set up. So
yeah. As long as they don't have a non-compete, I'm like, here's a Lori bead.
what you say? I'll sell you Zuri and take this. But there's so many things that can come from that. I'm just typing in her information. So you can actually go to her website and sign up for her text alerts. And I just dropped her link. Oh, I didn't drop it right. Let me go ahead and redo that again. Where you can go over and sign up for her text alerts. That way you can be on her list when she's getting ready to launch. I was laughing. I was at Target and I'm like, oh my goodness. You posted like these real pretty pink. I'll never wear no color.
Never.
And here I am. I was like, if I get this dress out of Target, which I wasn't getting ready to buy that dress out of Target. Because they fit. I don't know, for some reason Target stuff fits me weird. But I was like, if I get this, I can get that set. And then I got home. I don't know what made me think it was going to be there when I got home, and it was gone. So it's like, make sure you sign up for these alerts so that you can get on them as soon as she posts them, because the cousins don't play. But let's go back. So I think I answered all let me go back. Make sure we have all the, somebody actually said, I need some clear and black beads.
You do.
Okay.
Ashley.
So let's real quick, let's talk about your mindset and getting you to the point where you actually decided to invest in knowing who your audience is and all of that. And then we'll get ready to wrap up.
For me, just the champion mindset and being driven, that's always kind of been innately in me, like, but it's definitely a top-down approach. So before, where it was a hobby, and then I seen like, okay, people want to buy these, so like there's definitely been different phases. There's definitely been various phases of me, but innately I'm like a serial entrepreneur. Everything around business startups excite me, if that makes any sense. In this new phase that I'm in, where freedom is most important because of the other roles that I carry, and because of me, most importantly, that's where my mind I really had to challenge and push myself. And Shauna, you're the mastermind behind a lot of my pivots. So just remembering being in a space where I'm launching, and I'm doing well, but I'm exhausted.
I remember
What
that.
can we do differently? So like for me in this new space, doing that start, stop, and repeat, and realizing that it's not about the money, because the money will come. It's about the freedom. It's about the legacy and generational wealth for my children. That was the mindset that really kind of changed it over to, okay, I need to do the subscription program. Okay, I need to give these text alerts. I know people are buying into me, and I want to create this experience for them, but I can't be everything to everyone and nothing to myself. So really, it's just more so just that mindset. And for me, a lot of different life changes kind of steer that course. But in its core, I just love all things around business. It's like,
listen, fun. You ain't got to. We can go from having a conversation about business to talking about love to talking about like stuff and then coming back in clothes.
And
Like,
we're like, well, what do you think? You know, you
yeah,
always say, what do you think about this? And I'm like, well, I think, you know, it's just exciting because there's so many things that you can do. And to any entrepreneur out there, just know that like your business is yours. That's something that no one can take from you. You know, you're going to have those moments where you hitting the ground running, and you're going to have those moments where you hit a rut, or those moments where you need to rest. But the beautiful thing about it is that it's yours, and that's nothing that a person can take away from you. And it can go as far as you want it to go.
yes,
You just have to be open, though. Most importantly, my strength is that I'm proud about. I'm very proud and confident in what I know, but I'm not afraid of saying I don't know these things. So you have to be open.
coachable. You got to be coachable.
Yeah.
You got to be open to hear, like, and there's a lot of when it, and I don't like to call it constructive criticism, just because like if especially if I'm given the information, it's probably because I've heard something, and not just saying you particular, but if I'm giving you some type of advice, I probably heard something or seen something that you can do better. And I feel like I finally got to a place where people actually respect that I'm taking the time to give them, because for a long time I used to be like, yeah, I'm not, because people don't listen.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to listen. You have to be willing to do the work. Kecia did not get to where she got to by not doing the work. I think she gave the date of 2019, when she sat in that, I think it was like a Google class or whatever.
Yeah, it was
When
an accelerator.
Start putting stuff in place immediately. It doesn't matter what anybody says if you are not willing to do the work. And Kecia is proof that if you do the work, what can come out of that. So with that, Kecia, how about if you just there's a decent amount of people that are still on. Give them some tips for it could be entrepreneurship, it could be motivational, it could be whatever you want it to be, and then we'll be done.
All right. Tip number one, everything is a top-down approach. Oftentimes we hear it's not personal, it's just business. And that kind of irks me because I'm a person, right? So if I'm not right, things in my business and in my interactions may be a little wiggly. So it's a top-down approach. So you always have to make sure that you know your why, and why you're doing what you want to do and where you want to go. That's extremely important because that will steer the course of your business. And know that you may have those peaks and valleys, but people are always watching you, even when you don't think they're watching you. So, and my biggest thing is, before I sell something for less than it's worth now, I'll wear it myself. So you don't always have to feel like you have to constantly like do a sale or to just change the entire blueprint of what you got. If I'm being consistent and I know people are watching me, even if the chattering isn't as loud as it is, just know that, you know, why you're doing what you're doing, and that, you know, people are constantly just watching you and seeing what you're doing, and don't give up.
Don't give up is the thing. A lot of times, and we talked about that at the beginning, a lot of people give up before it's too late for them to enjoy the fruits of their labor. We know that it's hard. There's that entrepreneur roller coaster that goes on at everybody. If you've been in it for a while, you know it. But like she said, you do not want to give up. You want to make sure that you show up, that you do the work, and you stay consistent, and you will be successful. I do want to thank everybody. Tonya Jackson sent some hearts. Kecia Pratt sent some hearts. Tiffany Hurt said, do the work. Marcia said, my business is mine. Absolutely.
Period.
Tracy Jennings sent hearts. Nay Jackson, thank you guys so much for jumping on and chatting and enjoying, Kecia, as I do when it comes to our business
This
conversation.
was fun. I'm a woman of few words when it comes to this kind of stuff, but this was fun.
Listen, I love it. I love that we can spread the word. I love that we can provide tips. I love that to be in this space where we can help other businesses grow. Again, if you do want to work with myself or Kecia, I posted the link in the chat box. If you have any questions or anything, please make sure that you just post. Those of you said I'm late, but Kecia definitely keeps me motivated. I love it. Thank you so much. But make sure that you subscribe to the channel, because I am actually going to reach out to some of the businesses that are on to see if you would be interested in doing some type of interviews. If you have any any topics that you would like me to discuss, even though we have our stuff already mapped out, we definitely want to make sure that you are getting the best out of these sessions. So again, thank you so much for watching Life of a CEO. Make sure you subscribe, and we will see you next time.